What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to The Vital Check. I am your friendly neighborhood MD, Dr. Joe, here with the amazing
DJ Critical. What's up?
and the, I don't want to say beautiful because I don't want to characterize
Illustrious.
you.
Luxurious, the future millionaire, Melissa.
So, we are wrapping up, or January has already wrapped up.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
So,
Shout out to Big Caps again.
Oh God.
Big Cap gang.
luckily we have transitioned to Aquarius season, guys.
It's a good month, yes.
So we are just going to talk about, right, what has January brought us, and also, what's in our future, or what we hope to be in our future,
January
which is generational wealth.
January has brought a great birthday, like I said before, and just ready to take on the new year. Positivity. And yeah.
Money.
Oh, and money.
Yes.
Positivity and money, yes.
Yes. What was the question? I just know the answer is always money. But
I mean, we were just going to
she
talk
said
about,
generational
wealth.
setting up
Generational
generational
wealth, yes.
wealth and what that looks like.
yes. So, what does generational wealth look like to me? I like to think that I would be able to financially take care of my parents, right? So those that came before me, but also leaving a substantial amount of wealth, right? So not just dollars, but a substantial amount of wealth and knowledge for those to come after me so that they can continue, right? So I had a really interesting conversation with, you both know him, Adolf, and he was talking about how we always talk about generational wealth, but we never talk about how to keep generational wealth, right? How do we become the next Rockefeller family, right? How do we make sure that, yes, we pass along this wealth and then our kids drop the ball, right? Or their kids drop the ball. So how do we make sure...
That's the knowledge part.
Yeah, that we are passing down, yes, the wealth, and making sure that that wealth builds more wealth and continues down the lineage. Because Adolf brought up a really good point that when you are born into wealth or you have these, luxurious experiences or this wealth around you, you lose that street smarts, right? You lose what got you the wealth, right? So my kids won't have the same struggles, which I don't want them to, right? But they won't have the knowledge on what it feels like to be motivated or to,
to eat
hustle.
Ambition.
A mayonnaise sandwich.
I never ate a mayonnaise sandwich.
Yeah, no, me neither. Sorry.
Oh, so y'all haven't struggled.
I mean,
That's basically what y'all saying.
have you ever had white rice with scrambled egg and ketchup?
That's a 5-course meal compared to a mayonnaise sandwich.
First off, why would you eat mayonnaise sandwiches? You wasn't struggling like that.
Struggling. That's hard.
I mean, was it Hellman's? Because then it might pass.
You lying.
No, it was like Miracle Whip. Some nonsense.
That's not mayonnaise. That's bread.
Even worse.
Ugh, disgusting. Miracle Whip.
Okay, but yeah, so you have your mayonnaise, sandwich like pushing you forward to never do it again, but
Yes,
your kids
never.
won't have that experience, right? So what does it mean to give them all this wealth, give them all this opportunity, but make sure that when you're gone, that it still continues, right? So that's the level of wealth that I want to acquire and that I want to pass down to, the future generations.
Yes. Well, I'm here inundated and 6-figure debt, educational debt. And I mean, me and my husband, we go back and forth, right? Because for my undergraduate degree, I got like over $50,000 in scholarships, right? Like I was hustling out there to get money. And I feel like for my daughter, I want her to do the same, right? I need her to either hustle with her GPA, hustle with her merits, do something to get a full ride because I don't want to pay for college. But then on the flip side, right? Like I know what it feels to have this, looming debt that kind of, I'm doing well, and I don't want to downplay, that what my salary and my husband's salary brings to us, but also like, I don't want to progress as far as expanding my wealth because I have this debt. So like for me or for us, I mean, her college is going to be paid for, right? So I don't want her to start her adulthood with this negative balance. But also, I think an important part is diversifying. our portfolio, right? My parents are I don't do the stocks, I don't do life insurance, I don't do trusts, I don't do estate planning, right? Because that's you wishing your death upon me. When I told my dad, I'm like, listen, I just, when the day comes that you pass away, I just want to grieve, right? I don't want to deal with the messy money situation.
Start a GoFundMe.
Right. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to, honor you and your legacy, and that's it, right? And in order to do so, I need you to plan for that day. And, and I guess it is a little morbid, but, it's something that culturally, like, we don't do, right? Everything happens after the fact. And actually, my dad, he was the one who bought the plot for his parents. He's the one that planned for his parents. And, so it's weird that they
probably do that more like closer to the age or the time where they feel like it's nearing the end, whereas where they feel still youthful and like, alive and stuff, they don't want to think about that stuff. But like, just like you said, it's better to plan than to like, have to scramble or get things done at that time or like closer to. Is like, just plan it and just don't think about it, so when the day comes, unfortunately, you can just like, get it done, grieve, and you don't have to like worry with all that sort of stuff on top of your loss and stuff like that.
Yeah. And he also has businesses, right? So I don't know who's gonna come through the streets, lurk from around the corner to like claim
something.
Yeah. Right. And like, I'm not fighting. So that's why, like, to me, I want my parents to know like my plans to build, but they have to plan also.
I think it's like it's definitely a cultural thing, whereas like I don't think my mom, well, she has a lot of siblings. Well, you was only like you and your brother.
Yeah, but my parents are like 1 and 8, from 8 and 1 of 5.
Oh,
6.
well, yeah. So my mom's side, she has a lot of siblings and stuff. So it was like a lot of their parents really didn't. They're from Jamaica, so like they came just trying to find a way. So like they didn't really have much to divvy up or like spread out between their kids and stuff. But I think what our knowledge of the way we think now as far as preparing is something that's a good practice.
Yeah, because even my brother now, he's watching all these videos, he's subscribing to things right now. He's like, you need to start a trust fund, right? And when you think of trust fund, you think of wealthy white people, right? Like trust fund babies. Like that means you were just born and boom, you're a millionaire.
Yeah, super.
But it's really a little more nuanced than just that, right? There's like tax codes and stuff, right? Like, so it's just nuts that we are all children of immigrants, and we have now acquired this knowledge thanks to people like Melissa, who's kind of simplified it, right? Because it's really daunting to even plan that ahead.
Yeah, I think it's more of
like
that they
intimidating.
They're scared and intimidated, where they feel like, I don't know, they're gonna mess up or do something wrong or something. So like people like Melissa, which is a blessing, that's able to simplify it and like get the point across, where like not only the super wealthy or trust fund babies can have this opportunity.
Yeah, so my story is a little different. So my parents have planned.
They're a little open to it.
And that is because so they are immigrants, but they came so young that they were very open to learning about things. And then when I became a lot more knowledgeable and passed on this information to them, they were receptive to it. So and it is a morbid conversation, but it's such a necessary conversation, right? Because it creates a different level of responsibility that I would much rather have than, the fact that, like you mentioned, I'm trying to grieve and I also have to take care of all these other things. So my parents have estate planned. They do have, I'm power of attorney and things like that. I know where all the paperwork is. But I remember having these conversations where my dad drove us out to Long Island to see the plots that he bought for himself and my mother. And he's just like, I have like 2 more years left and it'll be paid off. He's like, and this is like the receipts and this is where, and I'm just like, I don't want to see the
Where-
plots, like where you're going
Yeah,
to marry.
yeah.
And he's just like, no, you need to see. He's like, well, you need to know where it's located. I'm just like, no. But now, like years later, I'm
Yeah,
just
because it's like, all right,
Yeah.
I'd rather that way with just like, all right, do it one time,
yeah.
get over it, and then you don't have to like, it's not something you revisit. Like, you don't go there to
Right.
check on the
Yeah,
plot
like,
every couple of
Oh,
months.
you growing some grass?
Yeah, like,
You don't go to trim it
flowers look
like.
good here. Yeah, exactly. And so I do feel very responsible for the outcome of my parents' life, which is like you become the parent now, you switch
Right.
roles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so
100%.
I'm like calling and check, like, did you take your vitamins today? And did you go to your physical today? But I much rather prefer that level of prepared responsibility than to just a clusterfuck, like, when things hit the fan. So it's really, really important for anyone listening, to estate plan for yourself, but also, for the people closest to you, your parents. And,
Yeah. And even that was an episode of Insecure, R.I.P.
Yeah.
But right, and I think it was great that we exposed these concepts to all the millennials and like Black and brown people watching the show, to really just ingrain or at least plant that seed of something that's necessary but uncomfortable to discuss.
Yeah. And this is why I highly feel like representation matters, right? So because when you're thinking of estate planning, you're thinking, oh yeah, that's whatever white people do that, or older people do it. But
An
then,
estate.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have a mansion on
Right.
5 acres for an
Exactly.
estate.
But then we have shows like Insecure, where we have a Black family living in, a middle-class family living in a regular home, and their daughter coming to them and saying, hey, we need to estate plan and prepare this. So it brings it down to a level where I'm just like, oh, someone who looks
something
like
like
me,
me, right.
my looks like my parents, lives in a house like my parents, they're doing this. Oh, it didn't cost an arm and a leg. Oh, it only took like an hour.
And the
So-
fact that Kelly's character was the one that was doing
Right.
it was
right,
great.
and you're just bringing it into people's households in a way where it's
It's easily digestible.
Yeah,
Right.
and so it makes it feel like, oh, if they're doing this here, I can at least Google to see what the steps are that I would need to take. So I really like that, and I wish that more, everyday life things were broadcasted in a way where people who look like us are doing them.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not just like a one-off. Like Insecure is great, but I want to see more shows like Insecure, right? Because how many different versions of Emily in Paris or Sex in the City do we have with these leads that don't look like us, living these lives that sometimes we can relate, sometimes we can't.
Fantasize.
Yeah, but it's
No,
like
I
I
mean-
want to see
Like when it comes to like even like some like 90, like they had like Living Single.
which Friends stole.
Okay, and all right, so we had then Girlfriends.
Okay.
Now they have a show called Harlem, and then another show called Run the World, which is similar premise, where it's like for African American women, and like how they, each one of them have like different walks of life, but like obviously they have a friendship. Now it's very inclusive. Like now there's an openly gay woman.
Right.
There's obviously there's always like one that's super like promiscuous, and then there's like a rich one that's like from wealth, and then there's another one that's like grinding, and she's a lawyer, and now she's married, now she's divorced. So like they have like different dynamics. So I think that now in like the media and just shows and movies are trying to push the envelope of like incorporating more ethnicities and like people who look like.
And I love that, and it's interesting, and I love that they bring up the dynamics. But when I think about a show like Sex and the City, right, whether it's the original or the new
remake
version, right, it's 4 women, all 4 are wealthy, all 4 live in wealth. Some come from wealth, some work, some don't, and they're just living, right? There's no real, they have
No
like
real
the
burden,
little,
right, yeah.
like, oh, they're trying to find a husband and like those things, but they're not struggling and going through all these, like, it's not glamorized struggle, which is what I find that a lot of Black and brown television, it's glamorizing this, like, I went through all of this and look, I came out, successful. It's like,
This
can you just show
resiliency.
me
Yeah.
joy?
Yeah, I think I've seen a quote recently where it was like for like Black people, like the struggle is like glorified.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they feel like, oh, you have to, it's just it comes with the territory of you
Right.
just being African American. You just struggle, you get through it.
And we applaud resiliency.
Yeah.
No, I'm Emily in Paris is one of the shows I hate watch. I will say that, but literally, it's whatever 12 episodes, 10 episodes of this girl just doing
whatever
foolishness
she
in
feels like.
Paris,
Yeah.
Oh.
right? Subpar, and it's fine that she's not really good at her job. She's still making a lot of money. She dresses so cute. She's, picking between this guy or that guy, and this show is applauded, it's awarded, and there's no real huge plot point. It's nothing super heavy. It's just a girl who got the opportunity to go to Paris to work, and she's enjoying her time in Paris. I would love to see a show of like a Black girl or a Latina who goes to, Italy, because they got a scholarship and they're just having fun in Italy and not a struggle in sight. Like,
Right.
like I would love to see that. And they're like, oh, it's fantasy, it's not real. It's just like
Somebody's life.
It could be.
It could be, yeah.
Stop trying to give me relatable struggle. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want the mindless,
The
fun
fantasy,
TV
right.
Yeah.
that is, on TV for so many other people. Like, I want to, see that for myself.
We were watching This Is Us, and I told my husband, I'm like, yo, where is the joy? Right? Like, why must I cry at every episode? Like, can they be
stopped
happy?
watching it. I watched it.
Yo,
I forgot what season, but then it just became too heavy.
It's very heavy. It continues to be heavy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I just want them
It's
to
like
be
every
happy.
episode, like they just
It's just like, what plot twist now are you gonna give me? And that's why, like, we followed it up with Abbott, right? So Abbott Elementary is this show from from Quinta. Her mom was a school teacher. They're from Philly, I think, but it's based in Philly, right? And literally, like, I'm cackling, right? Like, it's just fun. Like, yes, it's based on true events, and like, yes, underfunded schools. Like, what major urban city doesn't have underfunded public schools? But right, how to make the best of a situation and really be uplifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, this teacher is struggling with technology, but let's make it funny. Like, let's make it a way that I'm empowering you as my co-teacher or something. So like, I have to follow up This Is Us with Abbott Elementary because it's just like, I need joy, right? Like, I need something to laugh about, to like, oh, that's mad funny.
And I want to see it without it being picked apart, right? Because I haven't seen the show. It is on my agenda, but everyone's saying how, oh, this show is not relatable or it's not realistic. But when you bring in, which I love, The Office, you bring in a show like The Office, which is the same, setup. It's a mockumentary. It's supposed to be over the top funny, right? Those situations that happen in The Office would not be happening in a real work environment. We're not going to have all these things happening and just like keep a Michael Scott in charge. Like, that wouldn't be the case, right? And people love that show. It is awarded, fantastic. And then you bring in the exact same, concept in a school, and there's 7 billion think pieces about why this is not relatable and why we don't need to see this. It's like, but we do. We need to see that joy and that happiness.
Yeah. And even my my little cousin in Florida was talking about like this Facebook post, because one of the best things of January was Encanto, the movie. My headband is, Encanto. But, a lot of people were saying that's unrealistic family dynamics. Like, who lives like that? Or like, the surface pressure, like, nobody feels that. And I was like, welcome America to an intergenerational immigrant household, right? Like, how could you say that movie's not relatable when like this is everyday life for so many folks who live in this country, right? Like, you have your grandma. My grandma looked just like her, didn't really smile, rest in peace. Right? And then you have all these cousins, you have like the black sheep of the family, right? Like, to me, it was just some of the stuff she posted from this Facebook group. I was like, of course, like, it's just, it has to make sense, right? This is the country we live in, but right. I don't know. I love that movie, but
I'm so sad I haven't seen it yet, but I know Lin-Manuel Miranda is on the ones and twos, and I'm a huge fan. Hamilton, In the Heights. Yeah, Tick Tick Boom. If you have,
Oh, I haven't watched Tick Tick Boom. I need to watch
so good. I also love
and he
Andrew
passed
Garfield.
away too, the guy.
Yeah, so he, in case people don't know, huge Lin-Manuel Miranda.
By the way, did you know Jason doesn't know who that is?
We're gonna pretend like he does. So, Lin-Manuel Miranda, theater kid. I love me some theater. Born and raised in New York Puerto
City.
Rican. He
no clue who he is.
Hamilton.
I know Hamilton, like I was telling her earlier. I know Hamilton. I know Hamilton because I know you love it and you speak about it all the time.
He played the original Hamilton in the
I've never
show.
seen anything Hamilton.
You've seen me post things.
Oh yeah, but I've never.
All right. Well, as I yell at you internally, I'll show you.
They have available shows on the weekdays if you'd like to go
isn't
see the musical.
Broadway week coming up too?
Yes, it is.
Oh, we should all go
Broadway.
watch it, guys.
I'm down. Like I'm an open minded.
You would like it. It's rap. It makes things modernized, like from our, founding time.
It makes history understandable.
Yeah. So this is him. That's Lin, LMM.
Yes.
Okay.
He takes the train. Takes the A train.
He is, your regular degula schmegula, and he could put together a tune really well. And so he directed Tick Tick Boom, which has Andrew Garfield, who's my favorite Spider-Man. Fight me if you want. And so essentially this story is about the guy who created the Broadway show Rent.
Okay.
And it talks about his experience with the first Broadway play that he was trying to get picked up, and it didn't get picked up, but he spent a large amount of his time, sacrificed his friends, his family, his relationship to create this, his piece. This is my moment. And it didn't get picked up. And then so someone was like, write what you know. And so he wrote Tick Tick Boom about himself, which was him trying to write his first, play. And then no one really picked that one up either. And then he wrote Rent, which people loved and started picking it up. And then the day Rent was to premiere, he died. So he never got to see.
Oh damn!
Yeah, he never got to see like his big moment come to fruition. And Rent was one of the biggest
520.
Yeah, it was one of the first Broadway plays that people really and were like, oh my god,
yeah.
This is things, and so it became a movie. Like it was just this whole big thing, and he never got to see it. And I love when people tell stories like this because a lot of times we get wrapped up in our own. Our own creativity, our own genius, our own life, and then
we don't take the time to
and we're not enjoying.
Live in it, right? Mm-hmm.
He wasn't enjoying what he was doing, and then
even see the fruit of his labor.
So many people's lives, and he didn't even get to see. So he died feeling like he made no difference.
Right.
When the truth is,
he made
all the difference.
Right.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix, and it's phenomenal. So I highly recommend watching that. You need to come on, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh my god,
he's not in the movie.
Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, LMM. If you know.
LMM.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how he signs his Twitters too.
Yeah,
his wife is amazing. It's just
she is
an excellent family.
Yeah, and I believe their first date, he took her to get ice cream or something. It was the weirdest. He met her and he really
I'll be
liked
doing stuff
her.
like that.
All right, then you're up next. Your wife is at the next ice cream shop.
Yep, a scoop away.
A scoop away.
Maybe two. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes. If
you gotta double scoop it. You gotta double scoop that
you
thing.
You can't get a double scoop. What am I doing here, really?
Yeah, I got enough for a double scoop.
All right.
And speaking about scooping,
little Sunday.
Right? So thankfully, thank you. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but essentially one of the other successes of January was the You Got Food at Home challenge.
Yes.
I scooped a lot of avocados that I didn't throw out.
Decreasing food waste.
Yes. And I have to finish running my budgets, numbers for January, but according to Personal Capital, I've spent a lot of less.
Yes, and I think we're going to do it again in the summer, which is going to be harder, right? January is a little easier for me to do things like this because I'm not really going out. Right. It's winter. I was like, all right, I guess I'll make some soup. Which
I went to Maureen's last night.
Some what?
Steakhouse?
By yourself?
No.
You know, with the lady, because you heard that phone call earlier, but we're not going to go there.
But I do go to dinner by myself a lot, though.
I do really like that about you. And that is one of the, because I like to take pieces from my friends and family, incorporate my life. And I do really like that you really love your independence and you love spending time with yourself. It doesn't mean you don't like being around because you are also mixy as hell. But
with 3 X's, guys, mix
B. Like if you in the party, Jason in the party,
sociable.
Giving you
but
the
you
interesting
do
point
really
of view.
stand on your own in a way that is refreshing. And a way that I feel like a lot of people are uncomfortable, including myself. Taking yourself to dinner, a nice dinner, not just a Wendy's drive-thru, because I could do that. I don't mind doing that, right? But going to a nice dinner or going to the movies by yourself or things like that, going to the park by yourself, hanging out with
traveling
yourself.
By myself.
Right, traveling by yourself. It's so undervalued.
Yes.
But it is definitely something that...
And made to think that it's uncomfortable, too.
Right. Because I'm like, I want to lean over and say something, but it's just maybe I don't. Maybe I just want to vibe with myself. And so I really do like that. And I think that's the piece I'm going to try to, incorporate.
Incorporate more. Look at me.
Yeah, I did go to the movies by myself once. It was right before the pandemic. Well, the year before. I went to see Us. And I liked it. I was like, okay, I could do this more. But I also really wasn't a huge movie goer.
Yeah.
So if I go to the movies 2 or 3 times a year, that's a lot for me. And then the pandemic came, and I was just like, well,
it's over for that.
There goes that.
yeah. So I haven't had the opportunity to try. So maybe, I'll try it again. I'll go see
Take yourself to a little.
So what's your favorite
take
solo
yourself to a
activity
little
to do?
dinner. Who, me?
Yes, you.
Couldn't
be. I know.
My favorite solo. I like going to the movies by myself. It's just like you just go, you just get a little popcorn and get a little drink, and you really just in the movie. I feel like you just submerge. Whereas like when you're with somebody, like obviously you can like you have like a dialogue, you could talk. No, I go on friend dates to the movies too, where it's not
we went to see Spider-Man.
I've
exciting.
seen Spider-Man like 3 times, but
I saw it twice. It's a very good movie.
Yeah. So that's usually like it's just like obviously the easiest and quickest thing where you allot some just like time for yourself really. Going to the dinner by myself is cool too, because I don't be wanting to like wait for a date to experience
In a restaurant. Yeah. That's and what's really good is like people say you make the best partner if you don't mind dating yourself, right? So like if you can take yourself out on a date and enjoy your own company, then other people can enjoy your company.
Like as far as other people being uncomfortable with it, I've realized that some in dating, and then when I express that I'm doing things by myself, it's probably just the women that I'm dating just think
your circle.
I'm lying, or they can't really grasp as to either why I'm doing it by myself or why I haven't incorporated them in me doing so. I'm like, I had a little free time. I just want to watch a movie.
So now we're out here negotiating self-care. But what else should we negotiate, Mel?
Probably like salaries and jobs and
everything. You should negotiate everything. And people are always just like, I'm uncomfortable. It's like you're gonna be uncomfortable with people taking advantage of you. That's the contract you're signing, right? So we all have social contracts with people, and so it's just like same thing with boundaries. You're gonna set a boundary. People are gonna respect it, or you're gonna remove yourself from that situation. It's the same thing in a negotiation, right? It's like if it doesn't go your way, you could say, okay, I'm gonna take this route, or I'm gonna remove myself. And so I made this post on Instagram, which if you're not following Millennial in Debt, I made this post on Instagram. It started off on Twitter, right? It was just me rambling. That's what I use Twitter for. And I was thinking about all of the perks, essentially, that came along with my new job. And I was talking about them on Twitter because people were like, oh my God, like they do this, they do that. And it's like, well, some of this was already, part of the offer package, but I negotiated a lot of other things in that package because I'm just like, I'm leaving behind an 11-year career. This is a huge leap. I need to feel hella secure. Like I need to make sure that all parts of my life are going to be okay in doing this, right? And that is definitely a place of privilege because not as many people also stated it. And then you're like, well, what if I work in agriculture? And I'm like, I don't have all the answers.
And I'm always on the side of like, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I think what's an intricate part of this conversation with negotiation is people don't even know what they can negotiate.
Yeah.
Right. So I was talking about how you can negotiate health insurance, and people immediately thought like, oh, but it's the plan. It's the plan that they offer. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to negotiate the plan. You can negotiate the premium, right? Would it be covered by them or was it going to be covered by you? Because premiums go up. Right. And so if my employer is covering the premium, which they are, right, then that is a raise in itself, right? You don't only need to focus on the salary. Because if the premium's going up and I'm paying for the premium, I'm losing money.
Yes.
Right. So that's one thing. And then another thing, the HSA, you can also negotiate a match, similar to how you negotiate your 401k match. Right. So that's another thing. So people are just like, oh, but you said this. It's like, yes, but there's so many other things you can negotiate, right? Mental health is really big now. It's really trendy for these companies to do things that, are for. Right. So I have over $310 in subscriptions that my company pays for, right? So Headspace, because the DOE offers Headspace for free, I was just like, I would kind of like to keep this. And so now I have a free Headspace subscription with my new job.
That's excellent.
Same thing with Masterclass. My company is always talking about growth mindset. We want this, we want that. Masterclass, you learn all these new things, and that's money that I don't have to, pay.
Expect, right.
So these are things, unlimited PTO, working remote, things like that. Even if it's not unlimited PTO, I have a friend who just negotiated 3 extra PTO days for herself instead of taking the 2% raise, because she calculated like it's gonna be equivalent to the same thing, and she's like, it's better for me to have the extra 3 days anyway for vacation. And so these are things like you can bring to the table. It's not always, oh, I want $20,000 more on this salary. It's, well, what can I get $20,000 worth
for?
So how'd you know, like, how did you even start, right? Like, okay, the DOE, like the Headspace, you already kind of had an exposure to. The masterclass you already had. So how do you even figure out, like, let me try negotiating this? Like, is there a thought process?
Do you like see what the package has, and then you just go through it, like bullet point was like, all right, that's cool. I would probably like an edit thing, and
or then to add something that wasn't even there. Like, how do you even think about that?
So the thing is, that is where I started. I looked at the original offer, and I'm like, oh, okay, I like this. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I'm like, okay, I can live with this, right? And so the things where I don't like, a lot of times it's not like, oh, I don't like this, change it. You bring in an alternative, right? It's just like, this doesn't particularly work for me. Could we do this instead, right? Or is this something you'd be open to? If they say no, it's like, well, is there somewhere we can meet in the middle on, right? So it's not just like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, because that's not a negotiation. That's just complaining, right? And it's like, I don't want to come to you with complaints.
You have to be mindful of, like, they can also rescind the offer.
Right.
So you have to.
Exactly.
I think that's where people
are afraid,
are cautious, where they don't want to
overplay. Right. And that's the other thing. So your network, right? So I had Shakira, who master of, working in corporate America. I was not. And so I went to her and I'm like, I want to ask if they can bring the salary up to this number. And she goes, most negotiations don't have that much amount of room for this. So she's just like, maybe ask for this and then negotiate other things. And I'm just like, that's a really good idea. And then in sharing that post, that's what I said. I'm like, I was offered equity instead of a sign-on bonus. So Shakira was like, oh, ask for a sign-on bonus if they can't bring the salary up. And they're just like, oh, we can't really afford this, but I know that they are moving towards, something. I don't want to say too much. And so I was able to negotiate $24,000 in equity of the company instead of a sign-on bonus. So it was just like,
that's crazy that you can even think about that.
Right. But I know I'm like, generational wealth, equity, you want to own things. I'm like, this company is growing, I'm just like, I want, the money to grow. Right. And so it's like,
especially if you're going to be helping them to
grow.
Do so.
Right. If my role in the company in marketing is to help y'all grow, it's just like, why wouldn't I want to bet on that horse?
Yeah.
So those are things where the DOE, I wasn't thinking about equity. You can't own the DOE.
You cannot.
Right. But then I'm moving into a public sector. I'm just like, okay. Right. And then I also knew that my health insurance was not going to be as great as from the DOE. So I'm just like, I need to really navigate how I'm going to be paying for certain things. So they cover the premium. And so I'm just like, okay, I feel like I'm in a good space where I feel comfortable leaving something I've known so long that I don't know. But the worst they could say is no. Yeah. Right. The worst they could say is we're unable to. And there were certain points in the negotiation they're like, we can't, do this. We can't offer this. And it's like, okay, so let's figure this out. And then you have to have your non-negotiables and things where you're willing to,
some wiggle room,
wiggle room. And so negotiating doesn't have to be as hard as it. You don't have to go in guns blazing. It really is as simple as, just starting and opening up a conversation. So
and I think that goes to
everything,
to life too, right?
Yeah.
Outside of work, I think. I mean, we're going to talk about dating, I guess, right now. But, right? I've been in a relationship with my husband since I was the age of 17, right? So it's been a very long-term relationship. But prior to meeting him, right, I had this list of who I envisioned myself with. And it was not my husband, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happens a lot with my single friends, right? We have this checklist that is non-negotiable, right? There should be some staples, right? Like a man that respects you.
Yeah.
There should be some things that should not be negotiable. But however, like, he has to be 6'2", have this kind of job, have this kind of salary, right? I think it's like, what can you live with, right? Can you live poorly with a man that, uplifts you, supports you, or can you live richly and be alone, right? Like, to me, like, there's just some things that have to be negotiable and some things that are just like, this is my stance, like, what we make it or break it, you know what I mean? So relationships are also something that you should negotiate.
It is, or yes, it is interesting as a master negotiator. I always say I haven't entered negotiation, I haven't won. But I haven't. Like the
Flex.
really like big
Flex.
negotiations, especially for like my business. When I think about like work, I'm like everything I've ever negotiated, I've pretty much gotten what I wanted. And then that makes me realize like
Bravo.
certain things really don't. Most things that you think are gonna breed happiness don't. Right? And so I said
word.
that with my latest video. I was just like, I got everything that I really wanted from this new job. Like, even when we went to the aquarium in June, and I was like, I want to work in tech, and I want that. And I had this list. I'm like, I want this, this, and this. Like, this is going to make me happy leaving teaching. And I got all of that.
Right.
And I was like, bitch, where's the happiness that you thought was coming?
Was coming, yeah.
Like, what happened? What happened, right?
Right.
And then it's the same thing with, like, relationships. And so it's just like, you might have this list and you got the 6'2" full head of hair, because I really don't like baldness.
Oh, to me,
And
there
that's
gotta be
all-
a certain baldness.
Nah,
now.
bro,
You gotta
baldness-
keep it well. Gotta be well oiled.
Baldness is definitely on my list.
My dad been bald for a while,
because I
guys.
know all I'm gonna focus on is like slapping his head. But like,
They don't like that. The baldies don't like that.
and this is why I can't put myself in that situation. But it's like, you can have this list that you think, this ideal list of, he makes 6 figures, this, and this, and you get all of it, and then you enter the relationship, and it's just like, this is not feeling the way I thought it was.
He's
gonna
cheating on you.
feel. It's just, so it's like that list has to change and evolve as you grow. As you evolve, that list evolves.
Yes.
But I also don't want anyone to think that they need to accept, just anything.
Right.
Right? And it comes like in desperation, I guess, in certain times when you reach a certain age, like, oh, I need to, take whatever comes because I have to get married and have kids, and my, it's just like, you're going to take whatever comes? Like, that seems
This is risky.
like
I'm very risk averse.
Yeah, that's disaster written all over it. What do you think, Mr. Single? I'm newly single from a very long-term relationship, a very long-term rocky, but how are you living out here?
I'm negotiating.
I hope you win your negotiation.
I haven't been winning my negotiations, but then it's like my negotiation tactics. I think I just have to differ because, I have a very, I guess, like laissez-faire, nonchalant way of negotiating where I'll present it, and then it's like, all right, fine. Like if you don't want to go with it, then whatever. Where I think I have to be a little bit more stern in things that I want, or in the other case, like be more welcoming to other people's negotiations.
I like that.
Whereas there was an instance like a couple of years ago where somebody came into my space and tried to like rearrange my space, and I just wasn't like
your room.
Yeah,
It's a little
I
messy.
remember that.
and I wasn't really
was that?
receptive to it. It was I really miss her, by the way. But
I'm sorry.
yeah, at the moment I was really combative and like really not taking heed or taking into what she was like saying as to
Your
what
feng
was-
shui.
yeah. And I was just like, no, and no, and you're gonna have to deal with that because no. And then like, it was always retrospective. It was always like once they leave and like, damn, like she was.
Yeah, it's always retrospect.
She wasn't like she wasn't totally right, but I think her approach was just her approach of negotiating was just a little forward.
Headstrong.
Yeah. But she was like, no, like you have to. And I was like,
That's me.
I
I'm
was
definitely
nah,
like that.
You're not coming in here
I'm terrible
just
at negotiating.
dictating and stuff like that. This has been this way for umpteen years. It's gonna stay that way.
Sound
But
like an
then
old
it's like-
Jamaican guy.
Well, yeah, in some ways I probably still have like the little characteristics.
Okay.
But the new me now, where it goes back to evolving, right?
Yeah.
I'm way more receptive and open to figuring things out and just working together as a unit. I think being single for so long, which also ties back into like my independence, I'm so like used to like just doing things my way or just doing things how I want it. So when
Sound like a TikTok reel for you.
you're incorporating another person, it's hard for you. What I'm realizing, it's hard for you transition into an us
Yeah.
or we when I'm just so used to like, oh, if I want to get up and go somewhere, I'll just do it rather than like, oh, hey, I'm going this way, and then
you have to operate as a team.
Yes.
right, and then so like it's.
And you love team sports. You love basketball.
I love basketball.
Gotta be your teammate.
But even in basketball, I was
No.
I was just like, give me the ball, I'll take care of it.
No.
But yeah, so that's just what I'm learning in the dating space, which I feel like it all helps in the grand scheme of me being a superb, optimum, premium partner in life.
The best version of yourself.
The best version. Yeah.
So whoever this lucky gal is out there, you know, you're gonna get.
Yeah, you're gonna get
class
That's
A.
amazing.
DJ critical.
I love that for her. I don't even know
Oh
her.
yeah, I love that
yeah.
for her. Like she's gonna live a life.
I hope there is a significant other out there talking about me like that.
She's gonna live life. He's gonna live a life because you bring so much to the table with you.
We'll see. I am the table.
You are.
Cool. And we're not just talking about our yoga pose, okay?
I am the table.
You are the table. I like that. I like that. She is the table. Yeah.
So what are we gonna? So I think January has been pretty good for us, right?
Yeah, I would have to agree.
I closed all my fitness rings on the Apple Watch.
Nice.
I did 30 days of yoga. I feel great. I mean, so that's just physical energy. I mean, we'll see where the mental takes me in February.
That's the next part.
Nice.
Maybe a theme of love. I don't know.
Ooh,
you
that's
have
a little
love.
cliche for
You said
February.
theme
but
of
it's
love?
okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why, because you know Valentine's and this terrible capitalistic holiday. But how to refine my love?
Oh,
Yes, I think I'm a little crude. So
you're the most non-rude person.
I feel like you love love. Like, what do you mean?
no, but the thing is, I'm not
overly like.
yeah, don't hug me, don't kiss me.
That just means your love language is not physical touch, and neither is mine.
Yeah,
and I'm a very loving person, but it's like, can you get the fuck off my shoulder? Like, can you back up?
Yeah, she is like that.
Yeah.
But I am so romantic, and I love love. Don't make a face. You don't even know me romantically. Check yourself, all right, before you wreck yourself. Rude. I just don't like to be physically
I'm the
touched.
overly romantic one.
That's why we don't work.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, January. I usually don't like Januaries, but this was a good.
Yeah, this was a good January.
I
Despite
had my
panoramas.
Yeah, you just gotta get used to it. I had my first $10,000 month, so we're one step closer to quitting working for others, working for myself.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I went to DC. It was really nice. It was fun. With old colleagues, so people that I'm not like used to traveling with.
What was that?
It was nice. I like being surrounded by people that aren't always like aligned with the type of person I am.
Right. Okay.
And they're very different from who I am, and they're very different from like just the type of friends I really hang out with and keep around. So it was really nice, and we had like so many fun conversations. We played We Are Not Really Strangers, which is a really fun game.
I really tried to get into that game because you said
Never
it,
heard
but
of
We'll play.
it's
We'll
a rough
play.
one.
Never heard of
It's a rough
It's
one.
a good game. You would like it. You would use it for your dates.
How about game night at my house, guys?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yes.
I'll be gone for February, so
Oh.
March.
March.
I'll be in Arizona.
For the whole month?
Yeah, I like to skip winter.
Oh.
So, I work
Yeah.
remote, so.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my month. It was good. Success.
January for me, celebrated my birthday, Maldives.
Just Maldives.
Just throw
No
that
big
in there
fucking
slightly.
deal.
With a sprinkle of Dubai and Milan.
You went to a steakhouse with a lady?
Oh yeah, I went to it was a restaurant week though. It was little.
That's.
Don't
still
downplay it.
counts,
It's just the
yeah.
price that
I
went
mean,
down.
it's just a steakhouse. I indulge in
Excuse
the
me,
the
rich.
luxuries from time to time.
Rich.
No, you got one life. So as
That's
Drake,
true. That's true.
Aubrey Graham says, YOLO.
Yeah.
And with that, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Big facts.
Always
Until
a
next
pleasure.
time, stay safe, be well, bring joy.
Yeah, wear your damn masks.
So aggressive. Bye.
Bye.